Hey, welcome back. This is Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com. Today's wonderful bit of advice for you is going to be on how to get a guy to notice you. 5 different ways. Count them. You know, human beings crave attention. We love it. It's how we feel validated by the people around us. And it's also a way to know that you actually matter. And we also want to know that we're attractive to other people. If we're not getting noticed, we're not feeling attractive. And because we'll do almost anything, we can also embarrass ourselves when we're trying to get that attention. And I don't want you to embarrass yourself, so I'm going to show you the right way to get attention from the right kind of guys. Which brings me to another point about men's attention. The bait you use is going to determine who you attract. Some guys are drawn almost compulsively to sexual appearances. These aren't always the guys you want to approach you and talk to you. One of the complaints I frequently hear from women is that men are superficial. He's only interested in me for sex, she says, or he's not interested in me or who I am, just in getting into bed with me. But the truth is actually far different than that. A man is more interested in sex up front than you are, but that doesn't mean he'd just marry you because you'd boink him. Okay, a man has sex on the brain all the time, but once you get past that, he has the same biological need to connect with you that you do. And if you know this up front, if you know the guy's going to be looking for that up front, you can be more forgiving with him. It's a little bit like handling children. Give you an example. Every single day, my kids know I'm going to tell them to clean up their room and go to bed at 8 o'clock. This never changes. But what happens every single night? Inevitably, every night, they whine and complain about it. I know they're going to do it, and eventually they have to do it. They know it too. We know that a child is going to test his or her limits with us. So why do we as parents always get all irritated? It happens every time. Why do we keep getting angry over it, right? It's because we expect our kids to change their nature. It's their nature to test us. Well, the same thing is true with guys. He's going to try to test you. He tries to get sex as soon as he can. You politely push back with a playful sense of humor, and then he keeps trying and you keep delaying. Eventually, when he's proven himself to you and proven his character, you let him in. So when you get a guy to notice you, show a little backbone and just hold him off. He'll reward you with more interest. All right, now let's get into those 5 ways to get a guy to notice you. Get a guy to notice you. Tip number 1 is give him opportunities. You have to make sure you're within his sphere of attention in order for a man to see you and take interest in you. Sometimes he's genuinely so thick in his head that you could just make eye contact with him and he'll still be completely oblivious that you're showing interest. By the way, eye contact is not enough. I'm going to show you why in a minute. Sometimes giving him opportunities means walking right in front of him. Sometimes it means walking right into him. As a woman, you don't want to have to work too hard to catch his eye, because for every little bit of effort that you put out there, you wonder if he would have noticed you otherwise, and you want to be noticed. Go ahead, admit it. I know you do. Look, you're not a slut for doing a little bit of peacocking. It's just plain common sense that you got to strut your stuff every so often, okay? Get him to notice you. Tip number 2 is invite his attention. You want to be inviting with your presence. You want to be open and seem warm. And yeah, eye contact is critical, but it's only part of the process of getting a guy to pay attention to you. Most women do realize that eye contact is a must. It's a no-brainer. But how you give that eye contact is super important. You got to make sure it's obvious that you saw him. You got to lock eyes with him for about 2 to 3 seconds, and that might feel like forever to you, but it sometimes takes that long for a guy to figure out what's going on. And then, when it's time to break eye contact, you look down and away. It's that simple. This is a universal signal that believe it or not, all mammals on the planet use to do that kind of eye contact bonding. It's not only demure and sexy, it actually invites him to pick it up from there. You're saying, okay, I'm done, you chase me now. All right, make him see you. Tip number 3, use your lips. Not like that. Well, I mean, maybe later, but I'm talking about smiling at him. In a study done by some wacky, smart scientists, they discovered that women get 400%, that's 4 times, more interest from a guy if she just makes eye contact and smiles at him. The smile is that extra ingredient. Now, intuitively, this makes sense, but it makes even more sense if you know how guys work on the inside. Again, this smile just says, come on over, I don't bite, I'm not going to reject you. That's huge to a guy. Women don't realize it, but nearly every man carries a deep emotional scar from a time when he went over to talk to a woman and she did one of the following things. She laughed at him, she rejected him outright, or she made a comment that wasn't very polite, it was actually probably even a little abusive, or she just said no to him in a way that made him feel trashed and rejected. And a lot of guys end up putting on some really bristly, jerky emotional armor to protect himself from ever getting hurt like that again. So even the guys that are complete jerks don't really want to be that way. It's just a defense mechanism. And when you can see that, you can have a little more compassion. Force him to pay attention to you. Tip number 4 is work that body. Yes, he's going to be looking you over from head to toe. If you're a woman that still hasn't gotten used to this fact yet, well, you might want to stop and consider some introspection about why this bothers you, because yeah, it's going to happen to you. And it's not because he's only seeing you as a sex object. The real truth here is that we all see each other as sex objects. It's because men actually are hardwired to appreciate beauty with their eyes. And if you get a chance, you should watch some videos of classy women from older movies. Look at how they work their body language to communicate femininity, and the way they communicate feminine confidence with it, the way they walk, the way they talk, their mannerisms, and the way they carry themselves. It's a priceless lesson. I mean, you really couldn't ask for a better way to discover the art of sexy. And it's all out there on the internet if you had to find it, or in your Netflix queue, just waiting for you to discover it. And then take a class in dance or even acting. You'll learn how to reconnect with your body in a way that will ground your confidence and make you feel amazing. You're going to radiate a warm glow that he'll definitely want to get close to. And finally, tip number 5, flirt endlessly. The single best thing you can do for your value in the sexual marketplace is to learn how to flirt with men effectively and warmly. Flirting is an art, but it's one of the easiest arts in the world to learn. All it takes is a little bit of patience and the willingness to let go of your inhibitions. It's really all about learning how to be a friendlier, less guarded person, which is honestly something I think we could all stand to work on in this day and age. A lot of women encounter one weenie dude who comes on to her, and then she proceeds to change her attitude to shut down men by default. One bad apple and she goes from fun and bubbly to snarky and cold. Men gravitate to warm, flirty women because we love that energy. We love that playfulness. It doesn't even have to go anywhere. When a woman knows how to flirt, it's one of the biggest turn-ons for a guy. Even if it leads nowhere, we're happy to play with that. Now, I don't have this time here to tell you all of the subtleties of flirting, but I do have a great little report for you to take a quick look at. Go on over to datingadviceguru.com/true romance. Just click the little link below this video. And of course, you gotta like this video, subscribe to get more, and leave me your comments below so I know you're out there. I wanna hear your questions, I wanna hear your complaints about guys, I wanna hear what you wanna know about to unlock his heart. This is Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com. As always, live and love with passion.